Have you ever wondered how many different things you can do with a fire hose? Well, I bet today we're going to show you some things that you never thought were possible. I'm Shanae, and I'm so glad that you've joined us for another edition of SCZ Live. I've got to send a shout out, however, to Karen. Karen is the mom of one of our zookeepers here at the zoo and one of our great Facebook Live fans. So, hi Karen, I hope you're watching today and can learn about some of the amazing things that we can do with fire hoses, all to help improve the welfare of animals here at Sedgwick County Zoo. Now, we are very fortunate to have Michaela working with us here at the zoo. Michaela, I could say, is an expert on fire hoses and different uses for them for animal care. So, Michaela, tell us a little bit about why fire hoses, what we'll be seeing here, and what got you interested in all this.
Well, zoos have been using fire hose for probably at least 20 years that I know of, maybe longer. So they're great because they're reusing something that would be going into the landfill. So if they get holes in them or whatnot, they can't use them for fighting fires anymore. So we can get them donated. They also just have to get rid of them every so often because they have a little wear and tear on them. And they're great because they're flexible, they're very durable, you know, they stand up to animals well, we can clean them. So a lot of the vines and the chimp and orangutan exhibits and gorillas, that's all made out of fire hose. You might not even realize that's what it is, but we can paint them and make them look more naturalistic, but they come in all different colors and widths and sizes and stuff like that. So I have been working with fire hose for, probably about, I'd say at least 15, 20 years now.
It really has become a passion for you. You're even a part of an organization that really works just with hoses and how we can create enrichment.
Yeah, so there's an organization, a nonprofit organization called Hose to Habitat. So they're nationwide. They help connect zoos that need fire hose with fire departments that have extra fire hose that don't know where, don't know that they need to save it for us or whatever. So anyway, they're kind of like a communication between the two. So they're more on the fire department side of things is where they came in. So they help coordinate that. They also run workshops and conferences and help teach people how to use the fire hose and build a lot of the different things that we're going to be showing you of some of the things we make. So we make a lot of hammocks out of fire hose, like you might see in chimps and orangs and stuff too, but there's also other toys. So this is, you remember those bracelets you made as a kid?
Oh,
this is the same boondoggle. So we can use that, and you can stuff all kinds of treats in there that the animals have to work their way out, and all kinds of different puzzle feeders and things they like to rub on, and scent mark. This is a different kind of fire hose. It's very tiny. It's what they use to fight fires in grassy areas where they have to run really far from the water. So it's called pea hose. It's very tiny and flexible, which is nice because it's easier to work with and you can make smaller things.
And what might we do with some of the balls there at the end of that hanging?
It can just be something to kind of spur around and play with, or we can stuff like lettuce leaves or browse in them. And I kind of made that to put lettuce leaves in for our capybaras, something different to make a feeder for them. This is an example of what I named a hoop hammock. So this ring is actually made out of a piece of culvert, like the drain pipe culvert, that we made a slice out of to make a nice solid base. And this was actually my first entry, Hose to Habitat, that I was talking about earlier. They have an enrichment contest every year. So this was my entry the first year, and I won one of their prizes, so I got to go to a workshop to teach other people how to make these.
And what's fascinating to me is my son actually has a chair at home that's similar to this. So, it's amazing how things that we're using here at the zoo are also transferred to our own human comfort in other places as well. But I love with this piece that so much of it is repurposed. Just looking for all those different ways that we can turn one thing into something new.
And we can do this a bunch of different ways. So we can hang it up like this, or we can put it all together and make kind of like a spinny swing. We can make it more like a platform if you wrap everything really tightly, so it's very versatile. So that's another thing about fire hose. It's very versatile. We also use it for like door flaps, like refrigerator flaps, going into a freezer. We use that for some of our animal holdings. So on their doors, they have flaps there, then that keeps the heat in, that keeps the flies out, that keeps birds from coming in. So the animals kind of learn to come and go through those. One of the many ways we use Firehose doing different stuff. So this is another example of repurposing. So you may remember we're getting a bunch of new recycle bins, and so our old trash cans and recycle bins were made of these rings with this plastic board, yeah. So anyway, we take those pieces off. So these are just going to be thrown away and we don't need them anymore. But we're like, we see a new idea to make out of them. So we reuse those and we're going to make them platforms for our squirrel monkey holding when they're off exhibit. And then I'm going to make this into another hammock with some either fire hose or some other material. So
that's great. It's, again, always looking for different ways we can take something that was and turn it into something new. And these are all things that just take a couple people sitting down and thinking about it. So it's one of the things we always encourage all of our viewers to do. Think outside that box with some of those products before you throw them away. See if they could have another life doing something else. And I know right in just a moment, I'm going to get to see something I've never been able to see before. Michaela has it set up for us to actually watch how we cut and strip the hoses.
So fire hose is very hard to cut. We have spent many years struggling cutting it. And actually the best thing we had until a few years ago was just a serrated knife, and that was the easiest way because a utility knife takes forever. Saws that gets caught up in it's kind of dangerous. So anyway, one of the host habitat, actually, this is one of the prizes I won one year. So it's an industrial fabric cutter. I say it's kind of like a cross between a iron and a pizza cutter. So it cuts through like butter, I tell you. Much easier than previously. So
wow, that's amazing.
It's much faster, especially if we're making like a hammock and have a bunch of cuts to make.
Sure.
So you can see fire hose, there's different kinds, but are made of like 2 layers. So the inner layer has rubber and the outer layer is the colored part. So one thing we do to double the amount of hose we have and to make it a lot lighter and easier to work with is we can pull these 2 layers apart. But as you can imagine, this is 50 feet long and it's kind of difficult to do. So we've come up with this method. I'll call it skinning the fire hose.
Skinning the fire hose. Creativity at its best.
So I cut the other end and I have it bolted or clamped onto the golf cart there. So that's the inside layer. So
I see. You've already separated. Okay, got it.
And so then I'm going to clamp onto the outside layer and I'm going to drive our golf cart and we're going to pull the 2 layers apart.
Some of you might out there hear some of the large trucks going by. They are taking soil from the new entry area and bringing it back to one of our back areas at the zoo here. So if you notice that truck or hear that truck going through, that's all that is. Again, repurposing that soil to somewhere else in the zoo.
There we go.
I see Karen's joined us. Karen, we're so glad to have you on today. Thanks for always being such a great fan. Okay, so
I'll wait for the airplane so you can hear it.
Michaela's just holding on to that piece.
All right.
Here we go. Again, I have never seen this myself, so I'm fascinated to see how this all works. Oh, there it goes. Look, it just slides right out. So she's clamped the one end to the stable golf cart there, and she's taken the other end and grabbed the yellow fabric piece, and then just pulls off with the golf cart to pull those pieces apart. I can see how this would be so much faster at 50 feet of hose to do it this way than any other way. What creativity here. You just never know what you're going to find here at Sedgwick County Zoo. But just a great way that we can use things in more than one way, as well as use them as efficiently as possible. As Michaela said, we didn't really need to use both pieces. They're a little thick when they're that way, but being able to split them in half like this allows us to use them twice as much. That was great. Thank you, Michaela.
You're
So
welcome.
what are your next projects? What do you think we'll use this hose that you just split on?
Well, we're redoing the squirrel monkey stalls to bring them off exhibit, so they really like running on the fire hose, so we need some for that. And like I said, that little hammock, we might wait for smaller hose, but supposed to be getting another donation this month, so we'll see what we get.
That's great. So thank you so much for being able to show us some of these different things. Remember, we have a couple of exciting things coming up around the corner. One of the things that you can help participate in soon is our last creature camp out of the season. You can grab a tent, grab some kids, grab another adult, come on out and spend the night at the zoo. I tell you, I've done it lots of times. I can't quite say 100 times, but at least dozens of times. And every single time I find it just super fun and amazing. You never know what you get to hear when you're here at the zoo, so especially overnight. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Get out and enjoy some of this October weather.